Now, I mentioned in the onset of this sermon of some exciting news. You ready? It's two milestones that we have been praying about here at Keypoint Church. And I'll announce the first one this way. We are a church plant. Well, let me explain that. 6.5 years ago, this church, there was no existence. We haven't been in downtown Rogers or downtown Bentonville and moved out here. And 6.5 to 7 years ago, my wife and I, we felt and we experienced the presence of God, and we desired to plant a church. We were a part of a church plant in Little Rock. We moved here. We planted this church. We began to love on people. We had our first church service. We began to move and do different things, and we have this campus now. We have our South Campus, and we've got 2 thriving campuses in Washington County and Benton County. And because we're a church plant, we have the DNA to plant churches. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? We have the DNA inside of us to plant autonomous churches. Now, our South Campus, that was the church plant within our church, all right? But we also have desires to raise people up in our church, help them discover their gifts and their talents and their callings, teach them and mentor them, and send them out just like Stacy and I will send out to plant this church. And it brings me great pleasure to announce to you that Keypoint Church, in 6.5 years, we get the opportunity to plant our first church. Amen? That's a good thing, yeah. You know what that tells me? That we're thriving. It tells me that we're blooming. We're growing. We're producing fruit. And I am so proud of this couple. They have been with us for many years. You'll know this couple as soon as I mention their names. And I've been watching them and praying with them and walking through this process with them. And we're going to be planting our first autonomous church in the Northeast, and I'll let them explain that in a moment. But won't you give it up for Pastor Joel and Sarah Brown? Come on, give it up for them. Yeah, come on. Woo! Yeah. Now, yeah. Woo! What's that song? There's a party going on right here. A celebrate. You may be seated. You see, this is the value of a thriving church right here. We see the value in people, and Pastor Joel, he emailed me about 6 years ago. He was working several secular jobs. He said, Pastor Casey, I have a gifting to lead worship. And at that time, I led worship, and it was not that good. And I'm going to tell you right now. And he said, I can lead worship. And I said, well, let me hear you sing. And he sang me a song. I said, you got the job, you know. And they begin to serve, and they begin to love. And they begin to walk with Keypoint Church and faithfully nurture the DNA of Keypoint Church and build teams. And now, of course, Sarah is over our children's ministry, and Pastor Joel has developed our worship team. And, you know, it is a great pleasure to be able to stand up here and to be able to do this. And we're going to be generous. We're going to do everything we can to bless them spiritually, financially. We're going to do whatever we can, all right? Because it's in all of our best interests for this to succeed, and we believe it's going to succeed. So real quick, why don't you tell us what's going to happen and how we can pray with you.
At the beginning of every year, Keypoint Church does a fast. And at the beginning of 2011, we began the fast, and in day 19 was when I was in this room, kneeling at that chair over there in corporate prayer, and I just began to sense something. I didn't really know what it was. I felt like it was maybe a next level for the worship team and for what God's doing here. But I did not quite know that this is where I'd be standing 11 months later.
Yeah.
In May, I began to get very specific words. So I look at Sarah and I said, we need to start journaling. We need to start writing things down, because when God speaks, it confirms over a long period of time, and it's through people. And it's through people you don't even know, which I'm going to give you a blog address, because if you want to read the whole story, you might want to write this down. It'll be up by Tuesday morning. It's Joel and Sarah Brown at .blogspot. But we began to journal. And then we came to Casey, and we prayed through this whole transition. And it is our privilege to fulfill some of your dreams, which that's the whole reason why I came. I'm not here for me. You're not here for you. One thing that I want to make sure that we get across is that we don't ever do anything for God. Okay? We do things from God. And what God is doing in this church and what God is doing in us is not our dreams, it's God's dreams through us. Yeah. So I want you to realize that. So it is our ability and our pleasure to announce to you that we will be going to the Hampton Roads, Virginia area, and we'll be leaving probably in February, and we'll be launching probably in fall. So we're looking at August, September. So that's the time frame for us. And thank you so much, Keypoint Church. Thank you, Pastor Casey. I want to thank the staff, everybody. Pastor Spencer, walking us through this thing. This is a great time. It's an exciting time. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Come on, let's give it up for him one more time.